You know, in any big project, one tiny misunderstanding right at the beginning can lead to a huge, expensive failure down the line. So today, we're going to talk about the two key ideas that help you avoid that exact problem: the mission concept and the system concept. Let's really break them down. All right, let's frame this with a pretty cool question. Imagine you're on the team that's colonizing Mars. Now, what's your job? Are you planning the entire colony, the big why behind humanity surviving on a whole new planet? Or is your job just to build the rover, a single supercritical what? It might seem like a small difference, but trust me, it changes absolutely everything. Okay, so let's start with the biggest picture imaginable, the whole Mars colony. We're talking about defining the ultimate goal here, that strategic why. And in the world of systems engineering, that's what we call the mission concept. So a mission concept, it never just focuses on one piece of hardware. Not at all. It's about the whole operation, the entire shebang. It's what defines the why. Are we there for survival, for exploration, for long-term settlement? And from there, it asks, okay, what capabilities do we actually need to pull that off? And this is all happening way before anyone even starts sketching out a specific rover. And a really good mission concept is incredibly thorough. I mean, look at this. It sets crystal clear objectives, right? Something like, we need to be self-sufficient in 10 years. But it also forces you to get real about the operational context, the unbelievably brutal Martian environment. And that leads you to a capability analysis, which is basically taking a long, hard look at the tech we have versus the tech we're going to have to invent just to stay alive. Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. We've got our huge mission. But hey, a mission needs tools, right? So let's focus on just one of those tools, a brand new exploration rover. This is what brings us to the system concept. And this is all about defining the what. The system concept really zeroes in on the rover itself. In engineering speak, this becomes our system of interest. It's that high-level vision that makes it perfectly clear what this rover is and why we need it for the bigger mission. And again, this is all happening before a single engineer even thinks about designing the wheels. So what actually goes into that definition? Well, take a look. First, you define the system's boundaries. For instance, is the communication relay on the habitat part of the rover system, or is it separate? Good question. Then you list its high-level use cases. What's it going to do? Stuff like drilling for ice. And of course, you've got to identify the constraints, like the budget or the insane cold it has to survive. This also helps us start breaking the whole thing down into its main parts, its key subsystems. All right, so we've got the big picture mission on one hand and the specific tool system on the other. Let's put them side by side and make this distinction absolutely crystal clear. Yeah, this table really lays it all out, doesn't it? The mission concept is broad. We're talking colonizing Mars. The system concept is laser-focused. We're building our rover. The mission is that strategic why, and the system is a very specific what that we need to make it happen. Now, it's not like these two concepts exist in separate worlds. No way. They are deeply connected. In fact, they form the very top of a planning pyramid that takes you from this huge strategic vision all the way down to the nuts and bolts technical reality. And what's so powerful about this hierarchy is that it creates a clear, traceable path. See how it works? The mission concept, that's our why, directly feeds into the system concept for the rover, that's our what. Then that guides the concept of operations, or ConOps, which describes how astronauts will actually use the thing, and from there, you can finally get to the nitty-gritty technical requirements. It's just a perfect logical cascade from the highest goal right down to the tiniest detail. Look, if you want the simplest way to think about it, it's this. The mission concept sets the destination. It says, we are going to Mars. The system concept defines the vehicle that'll help get us there. It says, this is the rover we need for that journey. It's common sense, right? You've got to know where you're going before you can design the right car for the trip. So for your next project, whatever it is, pause for a second. Ask your team, hey, which one are we defining right now? Are we talking about the mission, or are we talking about the system? Because starting with the right perspective, well, it isn't just the first step. It's probably the most important step you can take to make sure you actually reach your destination.